Hi everyone, this is Rupin. I'm here with my colleagues and friends who are graduates from Dr. Shefali's Coaching Institute. We have been connected for a number of years and were lucky enough to connect in person at Evolve this year, 2022, with Dr. Shefali, which was hosted in Atlanta in the States. A lot of us traveled to get to the conference and we all stayed together for the whole weekend. Throughout the day, we were listening to lectures, and in the evenings, we all got to socialize and reconnect and reestablish our friendships. So today we're going to have a little conversation about how valuable that was for us on an individual level and how we are changing and impacting our coaching practices and whether we have evolved as people ourselves since going. I have Mayra and Tanushka here. So hi guys, how are you all doing today?
Hey Rupin, doing great.
Hi Rupin, thanks for having me here.
Great to have you
Nice
both.
to see you in person.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, we're back to Zoom after being able to give each other hugs and spending some time seeing all of your lovely faces in person, which was a really special time. I'm so grateful that we actually managed to connect in that way. So let's talk about that first. How was it for you guys to see people who you have known very well and perhaps heard very intimate details of their life and their past and their stories, and actually getting to connect with them on a one-to-one basis, face-to-face in the real world in 3D?
For me, I was really accelerated to be around everyone. The anticipation of actually getting there, I just could not possibly wait to be in person with people, because while Zoom is great and it has brought so many opportunities, connecting with these people face to face, hugging them and having this intimate conversations, it was just meeting like old friends that I had known almost forever, because we get to have such deep, intimate conversations. And now it was just like reconnecting with somebody that I had known for such a long time, even though it's been only 2 years that I have gotten to know some of y'all. So it was an amazing time to be there and to spend how many days, 2.5, 3 days with everyone, and just continuously just form and grow our friendships and get to even learn more about each other. So it was a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah, just jumping off from what Moira said, even for me, I just felt like connect was immediate. It didn't seem like I didn't know these people. It's like I knew them, and it was just now putting a face to it, like a real face, not a Zoom kind of a face. So for me, the connection was really, really quick. And even for the people that I hadn't chatted with offline or during Zoom, somehow just saying that we were part of the institute was like an immediate bonding. Like it was something common that we had between us, and it was like an unsaid, like a group, like sisterhood, brotherhood, whatever you want to call it. I met people from other cohorts as well who happened to be seated next to me, and there was no like awkwardness. It was very easy to just immediately share details that would take me probably months with some other people that I would be meeting. So it was just wonderful, a very, very meaningful experience for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. The connection's so deep and instant. You just meet somebody, not sure who they are, introduce yourself, realize that you've been doing the same work. You've been doing the same journey, and that you have a mutual understanding of the dedication that it's taken to graduate from the institute and to be one of the coaches. You know how it was for your journey, so you know how it was for their journey, and that you can kind of share in that exclusive club of people that have done the work. There's a really beautiful part of being on this journey that is painful and difficult and treacherous, but you can trust that people who we meet along the way, especially the ones who are from the Coaching Institute, understand. They just understand the difficulties and the challenge that we've all gone through to break our old patterns and to emerge as this new version of ourselves. So it's really lovely to hear your thoughts there. For me, I was blown away by how much love and welcoming reception I received. I think being one of the only males is perhaps what makes me stand out, and everybody seemed to know my name before I introduced myself.
So unfair.
It was really lovely for me. I was reveling in it, and I was trying not to inflate myself too much, because, you know, like I'm trying to remind people how I'm just one of the gang and really normal. And once we managed to get through that and break any pedestalization or glamour of being a male conscious parenting coach, that once we got through that, there was that deep connection, that instantaneous love and acceptance. There's an unconditionality about the community, and I really feel that distant. The group that we had in London, which is all on one WhatsApp chat, we just haven't been able to connect in real life as much as we would have liked to. And the people that I know online who I'm very close to are scattered. They're all over the globe. So this was just really bringing one of my closest golden circle of friends into the same room, and just was able to really revel in that experience. So I found that very powerful.
Yeah, one thing that I want to piggyback off is just amazing to meet all of you that travel like so far. Tanushka, you traveled so far, but it's amazing to see all these people that it's not just within my immediate place or country that I live in, but it's all these people all around the globe that are actually, like you said, doing the work and bettering themselves, for whether you have children or not, or just in general, that we are part of this huge or small community, however you want to put it, but it's people from everywhere. And I love that, because you also get to learn about other cultures and other people and how they live and what they think and what's their conditioning. And it completely takes me into a whole nother world. So that was amazing.
Blown away by that fact that Moira just said. When I had the first session of the institute, right, I came in saying, I think there's just going to be 10 people in this class, and like, who does this stuff? And, you know, only a silly person like me is like just signing up for course after course. And when I saw like 130 participants as part of the cohort, like represented from the northernmost part of Canada to the southernmost part of Australia, it was my real mind-blowing moment to say that regardless of our background, culture, color, you know, size, language, we actually do have the same dysfunction, so to speak. And that's why we're here, right? There's so many people hitting similar rock bottoms in our own way, and now we're ready to do the work. So it's just been an amazing journey since then, to know that we have people around the globe that are physically not like us, but yet we are so connected, right? It's just mind-blowing in a good way, like I said.
And Tanushka, you arrived and attended graduation with all of us at the conference dates. So could you tell us maybe about what you experienced and how that was for you, other than the meeting people, other than the social side of experience? What else did you get and take away from the experience being there?
You know, it was like, I don't know if we said this earlier, but Dr. Shefali just didn't keep it to being a graduation. Like, it was the picture and the certificate and all of that. But to me, it was an entire day of wisdom being shared all over again. So even if it was something as basic as, you know, how do we share this part of our lives with other people? I remember that I just didn't have enough recording space. Like, I wanted to record every word she was saying. And then I kind of said, I have to try and take it in. And obviously I don't remember her exact words, but at least like even knowing that she too, for a very long time, didn't share this part of her to her nearest and dearest, because it's so hard to explain. It's so hard to share what you're feeling, that sometimes for the fear of diluting it, even I don't share it. So it was just like heartening to know that, well, the person that I mentor from, you know, in many ways also had that journey, right? So she had loads of nuggets to share on that day that I've been able to internalize and think about, and the wisdom continues, right?
Yeah, I think that I agree. That was a really excellent question. I think it was somebody's question, like, how do we talk about conscious parenting? They were just like, can you please give us the little elevator pitch and the little 30 seconds to explain it? And I remember Dr. Shefali did try, and I think I've got it written down, sort of like what she suggested conscious parenting really is. But I remember before she said that, the answer that she really wanted to deliver to us was that there is no one size fits all answer, and that actually you're responding to the audience that you have in front of you, which is just so conscious, really. It's like, it was a really great way of saying, like, there is no answer. You're just going to have to flow with it. And I really thought that was something that I took away as a really big impactful change from the talks that we received at graduation. I remember them being fantastic and valuable, and I think they weren't recorded as part of the conference, which was a real shame because I didn't expect it. I didn't really have my notepad out too much. I didn't have my phone on. I was just ready for our graduation ceremony, and Dr. Shefali just kept hitting us with wisdom after wisdom the whole morning, which was fantastic. And any coach that is sitting in that room will have really leveled up as a coach just from that lecture. And I think that Dr. Shefali is doing actually a really good job by being a leader for coaches, and that was proved in that morning.
Absolutely. What I took away from that specific day was how special we are, but really how much work that we have put into this. And it takes so much hard work to look at yourself in the mirror as a person and grow. And not everybody is up to doing this. And to, again, be around in a room full of people that are willing to look at themselves and be like, okay, how can I be better? How can I grow? How can I evolve? How can I share this with the world, or with whomever that wants to listen? It's inspiring to be around people that are that way. And so for that moment, I did feel very special because I was like, wow, I'm around all these people that want to contribute and want to inspire and want to create something different. So that was a big, huge, for the graduation day, that was a big, huge takeaway for me.
Nice. And Mayra, if I can ask you a question about the other days from the conference. So was there any particular interviews that you saw from the talks and the guest speakers that we had throughout the weekend that you found fascinating or inspiring? There was Christina and Sarah, and there was one of the singers that came on to talk. And was there anything that you found valuable from the guest speakers that attended?
Was it Christina, the one that was sort of like a comedian? Was that her name?
That was Christina.
Yeah. Okay, Christina. Her extremely inspiring to know that she had really struggling, a huge struggle being a single mother and living in poverty, and how she was struggling so much. Her children were having a completely different perception of it, how different their perception of their mother was, and how through that she was able to switch her perception, and instead from that little place of switching the perception, give to others. So that to me is extremely important, because it's all how we view things. If we can just by a minute, small amount switch our perception, is when we can start to turn things, and when we can start sharing with others or giving with others, or just be a completely different person and really be able to contribute to our communities or in any other way. That was really impactful for me.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I just remembered that we also had a talk from Lisa Billier as well. And this was the quest.
Lisa had so much wisdom and power in that tiny little, she's tiny. And she, to be able for me to know that for her, that journey of growing into the person that she is, it has taken a long time. It's been to really know her truth and what she really wanted in life. It's not like, it wasn't an instant, it wasn't a year, it wasn't 2 years. It was in a span of, I believe, 10 years that she was able to really grow and understand who she is. That was impactful for me, because I'm a person that I tend to be like, I want immediate change. I want it now. And I press myself a lot. And so just be a different person, and perception and change comes at different paces. And with her, to see that it just really took a long, good 10 years to continuously look at herself and know what she wanted, was definitely impactful for me.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like she gave us some insight onto how to communicate effectively, and that perhaps that was part of communication, was that she had a lot of patience. She didn't rush things. She didn't want her changes to be instantaneous. She just said, I don't think I'm happy in this situation. and that was enough. Like, you just
Right.
say it and like just share where you at. Didn't need to have a solution there and then. It was like she just let her partner know exactly where she was at with situations, and then over time they managed to rebuild their lives so that she could be happier, and that they tried to figure out a way of constructively criticizing their situation and growing together. So she had a really beautiful relationship with her partner, and they're both
Absolutely.
superstars online. So we get to see both of their energies quite often, and nobody's behind closed doors, which is quite an interesting way to see a relationship. We see them as two separate people online, and it's only when you realize that they're married and connected that you really understand how powerful that relationship is.
And it's really what fuels, I believe, their own individual growth and involvement and their greatness. Really, it's through both of them empowering each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about the talks that you received from Dr. Shefali? Was there anything that you've changed about your coaching practice or yourself, or that you re-inspired? And I guess in many ways I'm asking, did you evolve in any way at the conference?
There was just so much to take in. And one thing that continues to stay with me is that she asked us how some of our masks show up and what mask are you continuously wearing. And mine has been a mask of being continuously overwhelmed in my daily life. And so for me, that was one thing that I continuously ask myself as I have come back to my normal life. When I feel overwhelmed, when it continues to show up, I really sit down with myself and wonder, what am I trying to hide? How did I get this overwhelmed mask? What is behind it? So that for me has been continuing to learn where it's coming from. And so, but it's still a continuous journey as to really find out how and where and how to take it off more than anything. That way I can continue to be more effective in my daily life, because I was using it as an excuse not to move forward in some things that I wanted to do. So that was one of my biggest takeaways. It was a smaller thing, but one of the others is just in general, how being at Evolve for me is just a continuous reminder, and how she said that every single time that you go to these types of conferences, you have evolved. And so you will continue to hear different things. It might be the exact same speech. Of course, it won't be, but it might be the same type of information. But you're going to see different things. You're going to be able to take in different things, and you might be able to expand on what you already know, and just continue your journey with more knowledge and more wisdom for yourself, that you can see differently every single time you go to a conference like Evolve.
Yeah, I think a couple of the talks that we received from Dr. Shefali were stuff that we essentially know already very well, and they were going over stuff that we've learned in the Institute. And you can imagine that would be really useful for people who haven't done the Institute, because Evolve is open to everybody, although quite a lot of the attendees are colleagues of ours. But if that was all new information, it would be extremely valuable. And for us, people who kind of know about triggers and know about how to examine our masks, it is really fascinating how many of us have come out of the conference feeling like we've learned something new about it, and that we've really taken away some valuable new information that's unlocked something for us, and that we've seen it in a new way, in a new light. So totally agree with you on that. I think that's a really great point, and thank you for sharing about your overwhelm mask with us there. I definitely took a lot of value from the last day of Evolve, where we had a look at the length of time that humans have existed, and how our ideologies and our philosophies are quite new adaptations to a psychologically challenging world. But when we look at the time frame that human beings have existed for, it's just a blink of an eye at the end, and that our technological and our emotional and psychological advances are all so quick and rapid that we're trying to keep up with this evolving species, and some of the things that we are holding on to from the past are perhaps causing disruptive energy in our present moment, and to try and really bring us into perspective to say a lot of this stuff is actually just really new and actually just really like momentary, and to not assume that things have been the ways that they've been since the beginning of human beings' existence. And I think we had a look at the beginning of time, right? We were having a look at like the beginning of, I can't even remember what was on the start of the scale, but it was a very, very long scale, and it was 24 hours, and the time that humans have existed was the last like 12 minutes or something like that. So
yes, that was amazing.
yeah. And the powerful change that I've noticed in myself, I took the opportunity whilst we were at Evolve, Dr. Shefali kind of invited us to write a letter from our highest self to ourself, and to see what our highest self would say. And I really found that a powerful experience, because I got to embody my highest self. And it doesn't really matter whether we are interacting and being our highest self all of the time, because we just need that guidance. I think one of the metaphors that Dr. Shefali kind of expressed to us was that it's a bit like picking your North Star and having your North Star to guide you. And so even though we are glimmers of our highest self and flicker in and out of our highest self often, that when we really sit down and say, well, what would our highest self actually say to us if they were here right now in this moment, if they were writing us a letter? I really took the opportunity to lean into that exercise, and I found it very valuable. And I can't get the voice of my highest self out of my head. It's just resounding in there and guiding and trying to help all the time. So it was a good reminder that my higher self is on my side, rather than being this oppressor who's preventing me from comfort, and I guess like slipping back into the default patterns of where things are easy and the grooves are already carved. So that was my takeaway and how things have changed for me.
I love that. Thank you for that reminder about that letter, by the way.
Yeah. So hopefully if anybody else is watching and hasn't done that, that's a really great idea to give a go. So was there anything else, Mayra, that you wanted to share on the topic of things that you've taken away from Evolve before I ask another question?
For me, it was more so the part of the meditation day. I don't know, that was a little bit separate from Evolve, so I can talk about it now or later. What do you prefer?
Yeah, now's great.
No, okay. Yeah, the day of meditation, I thought it was such a great day for integration, because there was so much to take in those 2.5 days for me, that it was a day to really understand how my brain works overall, and how meditation is a very powerful tool to really understand yourself, your connection to yourself, and how to apply some of this wisdom to yourself, because it naturally comes to you when all of the outside world is just completely shut out for a little while. So meditation day for me was just as powerful as the rest of the talks for me. So
awesome. And Tanushka, so the VIP dinner was something that we specifically treated ourselves to and decided that it was going to be a valuable part of the experience. So was there any things that you feel that you gained from the evening, that we got to spend a more intimate setting, like hanging out with Dr. Shefali at dinner, where we were having drinks, we were relaxing? Obviously there was a nice photo with her again, but what about the connection that we had on that evening? Can you please give us some insight into that and how you found that evening and what you took away from there?
For me, since it was the first evening, like I was still warming up to everyone. Maybe everybody else had met everybody already the previous day, so my experience might be slightly different. So, but the funny thing is that I had seen so many faces on Zoom prior, right? So I could just go up to people and say like, well, you are that person, right? Hello, kind of thing. And again, like it was an instant connect. And, it didn't matter at which table you were seated, because you were seated next to your sister or brother from this group, kind of thing. So it was a very easygoing dinner, and the talk itself, though personally for me, I didn't think it was any different from her talks, or maybe the questions that were being posed to her were not, they were all conscious parenting related. In fact, it was not revealing another side to her, but I always believe that, well, I could have asked a question, but I didn't. So I just thought that the evening did not give me an insight to Shefali other than the insight that I already had of her.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a nice fun evening, and that was it. Like you said, I treated myself to it.
Yeah, I think we all had a really good time. It was excellent social gathering. We got to hang out and have an amazing dinner. Just an occasion. I think it was a good celebratory occasion for what we were all there for and kind of going through. I think that there was some interesting questions that got posed, Dr. Shefali, which perhaps are more difficult to answer on the main stage, and they were a little bit more probing into her opinions on certain topics. Like there was a bit of a conversation about gender-based insecurities, and she kind of like wanted to help us to understand her philosophies around that. So there was some nice questions that got asked, but it was the people who didn't get a chance to ask the questions in the rest of the weekend or other times as well. So I think that there's a bit of an overlap there, and probably she's quite grateful that none of the questions were too personal. You know, it wasn't really too probing and direct. So thank you for that. Was there anything else that you guys would like to share about your experience of yourselves since then?
For me, like, while you guys were talking about the guest speakers that evolved, I had checked them out online prior as well. So a lot of their journey that you guys just shared is also shared online, right? Like about Lisa as well as Christina and their journey to where they are currently. And it's absolutely inspiring, as you've said. And I love the analogy that Mayra used, where if you just make a little change of anything, because that's one philosophy that I really, truly embody in my own life, which is akin to the butterfly effect. Like a tiny flapping of the wings can result in a hurricane somewhere in the world. So I suppose that's what Christina did, right? Like get out of her basement and use her talent to be humorous, or she used her talent to just make videos that went viral. And that was a very small move on her part. But here she is impacting so many people halfway across the world, right? So it's a great reminder to keep stepping out, no matter how small it may seem to me. Or if I also feel like it's not going to make a difference, I still take the risk, because I remember that the butterfly effect is a scientific phenomena and it's likely to make a difference somewhere. And if I was to share my takeaway actually from the conference, it really didn't come from anything Shefali said on the stage, but it was more from hearing as well from the other coaches. And I really internalized this one thing where they said that we shouldn't have to work harder than our clients. And I find that I used to do that, like, because I wanted to so desperately share this way and this magic. And when I've come back, I've really dialed back. I want the client to be at least where I am, if not more. And it seems to be working out, because your clients got to work harder than you for this to be sustained. Otherwise, I found like I had to sustain everybody around me all on my own, enthusiasm. I love that.
Yeah. Wow. That's really
Love what you said. Thank you for that.
It's so easy when you care about your clients so much to just drag them the whole way. It's like...
And then I don't know if it's helping. So I think Dr. Shefali's video just yesterday or today on Instagram, where she says, I wait for the client to hit rock bottom. I like that, because it's only when they are at rock bottom are they going to make the changes, because if the pain's not too much, then you're working harder than them to see it. So I get what she's saying.
Takes a lot of patience. Takes a lot of, and dealing with our own self-worth issues that we define ourselves by the amount of clients that we wake up and heal.
It's such a beautiful experience. I love what you said, Tanushka, about the whole butterfly effect. I think I'm going to take that as mine now. Beautiful.
Absolutely. I live by it.
I agree. I think that butterfly effect is really beautiful, and it's powerful, that especially in conscious parenting, because we're talking about generational changes, and you can see this ripple effect that actually the rings get wider as they grow and expand, because you're not just helping one person, you're helping that person's partner and that person's parents and that person's children and then that person's children's children, because once one person is awake, they shine their light so brightly that other people are sort of forced to see that and forced to experience this new version of our clients and the people that we come into contact with and help along the way, that other people become inspired by just the fact that they can see the changes and that they can see the healthy, constructive, self-loving person, beacon of love and light the individual has become. Looking forward to having more chats like this in the future. Thank you so much both for joining me. We're at totally different time.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Bye.
You have good sleep. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.